And yeah, with that, just want to take a moment, if you're here live or if you're watching this recording, take a moment to welcome you all to this workshop. I'd like to welcome you if you're feeling really energetic and jazzed and ready to be here, and also welcome if you're feeling distracted by maybe other things going on in your world. Welcome if this is your first time at a Changing Hands workshop, and welcome as well if you've done this before. Welcome if you are Indigenous American, African American, Asian Pacific American, if you're from a Latinx background, or if you're European American, if you're some combination of the above, or if you're none of the above, welcome to all. Welcome to our female participants and the males. Welcome if you're trans, and welcome if your gender expression is beyond the gender binary. Welcome if you come from a farming background, and welcome if you are here just getting started or just here to learn more. Welcome to the lesbians here, the gay men, bisexuals, and queers, and welcome to those whose sexuality don't easily label. Welcome also to the heterosexuals. Welcome if you know exactly why you're here tonight, and welcome if you don't. Welcome to those with hidden disabilities, and welcome to those whose disabilities are apparent. Finally, welcome to all the different emotions and different parts of ourselves that we bring with us everywhere we go, and that we've maybe brought to this workshop tonight. There's always a lot of diversity in these workshops, something I appreciate a lot. And if there are aspects of our diversity that I've left out, I'm always welcoming feedback. I'd love to hear what that might be. And finally, since we're all tied to the land, I'd like to welcome the ancestors who lived in this land before us, to acknowledge the Indigenous people whose homeland we are now stewarding. I am in Sisters, Oregon, on land originally owned by the Confederated Tribes of Tenino, Warm Springs, Siletz Indians, and Grand Ronde. A couple of housekeeping things before we jump into meeting our two presenters. First up is that this is like the very tail end of a very long workshop series. And if there are, some of these topics above that are crossed out, it means they've happened. If some of them sound like they could be interesting to you, please reach out and let me know. All of these workshops are actually free for veterans. So we are excited to be able to share and offer that. Also, we are going to be sending you after the workshop a link to a spreadsheet that is called the Changing Hands Networking Exchange. It's a place completely voluntarily to kind of secure the connections that you might make in these workshops with other people. You might be someone who is looking for land to purchase or lease, and someone in your area might have land available for purchase or lease. Kind of a way, or maybe you just want to chat with someone, or you met someone in one of these workshops and you hit it off. In any case, it's a place, it's a place to link up with people. So you'll get more information about that. Just don't be surprised when you get there. We will also be holding, our presentation here goes till 7:30 tonight. Afterwards, I'll be hanging out on this Zoom line in case people here want to continue hanging out, getting to know each other. It's been kind of a nice way to continue the conversation in our past workshops. No agenda, just hanging out, and also like definitely not mandatory. And and if no one's there, that's totally cool too. It means I get to eat dinner a little bit earlier. With that, actually no, there's one more thing. This is important. I'm just loading up this slide here. Oregon State University, their Small Farms Conference is, the registration for it is virtual, and it's open now, and military veterans can register for free with a discount code that I'll put in the chat. But if you're listening to the recording, it's VET22 SFC, all capital letters, which is important. It starts in 2 days. So if you're interested in that, definitely encourage you to get on that immediately. I will put, again, the link to that in the chat. There's also a registration hotline that will help you register, or you can email, like basically trying to get people to show up to this. Hopefully you can make it if that sounds interesting to you. Okay, great. Lastly, before we jump into things, just want to recognize our sponsors, especially our calendula and ladybug level sponsors, organically owned company whose vision it is to expand the availability of and demand for organic produce, as well as On Point Community Credit Union, serving Oregon and Southwest Washington with mortgage loans, saving accounts, and auto loans. All of our sponsors here have made it possible for us to make these workshops accessible to everybody. So we are super, super thankful. And yes, Jonathan, did I miss anything major? Are we good to go?
No, you're good to go.
Sweet. Okay. Yeah, with that, I'm going to hand it off to Addie, who's here from American Farmland Trust. And Addie is going to take 10 or so minutes to just quickly talk about a new program that they are kind of heading off. And then we'll get into our kind of main topic for the evening, which is, from Paul Marshall, talking about, some of the services and what the Farmer Veteran Coalition does and how it might be relevant and helpful to you. So with that, I'll hand it off to Addie.
Thanks, Jeffrey. Can you hear me okay?
Sounds good.
Okay, I've been getting some angry messages about unstable internet. So if I get cut off, you can talk about the project, Jeffrey.
Great. I'll pull up the one pager.
So let's see, I'm going to stop your screen share and start my screen share.
Great.
Well, good evening, folks, and thanks for being here. Again, my name is Addie Candide, and I'm with American Farmland Trust. I work as their Pacific Northwest Regional Director. And for those of you who aren't familiar with us, just briefly, we're a national nonprofit organization with a 40-year history of protecting farmland, promoting sound farming practices, and keeping farmers on the land. And you may recognize our No Farms, No Food bumper sticker, iconic green. That's our motto. And we've had a presence here in the Pacific Northwest for over 20 years. Tonight, I want to tell you about a specific program that's relevant to veterans. But first, one of our national initiatives is our Women for the Land program, which is really aimed at lifting up women, farmers, and landowners in particular as the agents and leaders in conservation. And we do that in a couple of different ways. One is through promoting peer-to-peer learning, conducting research to better understand women, landowners, and farmers, who they are, what they need, and then also working on shifting policy so that we can help women farmers and landowners have better access to the resources they need to be successful. We're really excited to be launching a new project called Women Veterans for the Land. And we're doing this for a couple of reasons. One, we've identified a lack of resources to specifically support women veterans who are in agriculture, want to be in agriculture, may own farmland, but don't farm it. We recognize that there's a lack of research about the needs of and barriers that are faced by women veterans in agriculture. We see a really neat opportunity to explore how identity related to gender and veteran status and farming status all intersect. And we also see an opportunity to help service provider communities, including ourselves, better understand how to support women veterans. Our goals with this project are to increase understanding of the needs of women veteran farmers, to develop educational programs that will meet the needs and address the challenges that are faced specifically by women veterans in agriculture. We want to foster networking and really help to build community among women veterans in agriculture. And then lastly, building the capacity of agricultural and veteran service providers to better support women veterans who want to farm or are farming. Our next steps, we just launched this project in late 2021. And our next steps this year, we are conducting interviews and focus groups with veteran women farmers and service providers who work with veterans and with women farmers. In 2023 and 2024, we'll be hosting a series of learning circles in both Washington and Oregon, really aimed at that women veteran audience. And then in 2024, we'll also be hosting a regional convening to bring together women veteran farmers along with service providers across the Pacific Northwest. We have a number of amazing partners on this project, including Rogue Farm Corps, our host tonight, the Farmer Veteran Coalition that you're going to hear from later, Annie's Project, the Washington State Department of Veterans Affairs, Washington Farmland Trust, Oregon State University Small Farm Team, and then Insight for Action. So really just an incredible meeting of the minds to help us build this project. And really what I wanted to say is that if this topic speaks to you, if you resonate with the categories that I mentioned and you want to learn more and get plugged in as this project unfolds, please reach out to us. This is my contact information as well as the contact information for my colleague, Gabrielle Rush McNally, who will be attending the next session of this training next week. And at the bottom is a URL for our project page. So with that, I will make space to see if there are any questions for me, and then we can turn it over to Paul.
Yeah, feel free. I mean, we have such an intimate group here tonight. Feel free to, to unmute if you have a question or comment or anything.
And I'll go ahead and put my contact information in the chat.
Yeah. Maybe there are no questions.
Okay, well, that is fine. We can let it marinate. And I really appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight and share about this exciting project. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to stay for the rest of the session, but I really appreciate the opportunity.
Great. Thanks, Addie. Thanks so much for being here. Have a great night. If you do have questions, y'all can still email Addie there. And bravely, Addie put her phone number in there. So you can just call her, text her, I guess. Okay, so with that, I'm going to hand it off to Paul. Really quick intro on Paul. Paul Marshall is a U.S. Marine veteran, and his love for the outdoors eventually led to a career in small-scale agriculture. He's a University of California master gardener, master composter, and hydroponicist. While employed at Hydro Organic Archie's Acres, Paul harvested hydroponic basil and maintained greenhouse systems. He also worked on a small family agribusiness specializing in Old West homesteading. He cleared land, established a microfarm, built agritourism projects, managed and harvested acres of lilacs, and taught archery and tomahawk basics to tourists. Sounds like something I would want to do. We're super excited to have you here, Paul, tonight to talk about the Farmer Veteran Coalition. I'll hand it off to you.
All right. Thank you, Jeffrey. And welcome everyone that's here, and everybody that does end up watching this as a recording. Thank you for having me and Farmer Veteran Coalition as part of this this event going on. It's really cool. So yeah, I will go ahead and just kind of share my screen here. Get this.
Nice.
Okay, I think you guys can see it just fine then.
Looks great.
All right. Cool. My name is Paul Marshall, and I am a Marine Corps veteran, served from 95 to 2000. These are just kind of some pictures of my service time during that. I was with the 7th ESB Marines out of Camp Pendleton, which is basically the Engineer Support Battalion. And the company that I was with was Hellbent Charlie. We were definitely lived up to that name during that time. We were very rowdy, broke all kinds of rules. We didn't really think that rules really applied to us, so we had a lot of fun for sure. There is my contact information down there, my email address. And then, I was born and raised in Seattle. So I'm a Pacific Northwest native to the area. Um, Family used to go down to Oregon all the time, several times a year. We go down to Seaside, Cannon Beach, oh gosh, Eastern Oregon down to, Sun River, Bend, go to Mount Bachelor, all the touristy kind of stuff like that, visiting Portland. Absolutely loved it every single time we go down there for everything. It uh, it got me kind of kept my love of the outdoors going with it. But my MOS or my job in the military was motor T. So basically, I was a combat driver, which means depending on what kind of battalion or company you're with in the military, you're both the first and the second target in a combat zone. It just depends on who you're with, which makes things very exciting. And during that time, I got all different kinds of licenses, like refueling licenses, explosive ordnance, transportation licenses, all the really cool, fun kind of things like that. And being with combat engineers, the last 2.5 or so years of my time, it allowed me to see really what the engineers in the Marines do, where they have both opportunities of being able to build things, whether it's buildings or bridges, anything like that. And then they turn around and they have the wonderful knowledge of knowing how to blow them up at the same time. So it's kind of a build and destroy kind of relationship with them. But it was a lot of fun during that time. Got to do a lot of great things. And after all of that, just like a lot of veterans that get out of service, they just kind of, not all of them, but a good portion of them do just kind of float around in the system out there. Not quite sure what they want to do, where they want to go until they really find, what kind of passion really speaks to them. And it took me quite a while to actually be able to find that for myself. And by that time, I moved from the Seattle area down to California, ended up becoming a California Master Gardener. And I have been that in actually 2 different counties in California. One of them is Riverside County in Southern California. And then when I moved up to Northern California, it was for Yolo County. But I've been a total of probably, I want to say 7, 8 years of Master Gardener, and probably, I want to say probably 6 years of a Master Composter. And that one's interesting. It doesn't follow any of the same statewide programs like the Master Gardeners does, but it's still a lot of really good information and works really well with the Master Gardener program that I do. And pretty much at the same time frame, I've been wanting to get into agriculture, wanted to really kind of get in there and do things that I found that ended up being my passion, something that I love doing. And that's when I found out about Archie's Institute and their training veterans in hydroponics. And that is when I got certified as a hydroponicist. And it is an actual industry certification. It goes through Cal Poly, which gives them that true accreditation for their certification process, which a lot of farm training programs that are out there don't always get that opportunity to say that they have it as an accreditation. But it was a great experience. It was, gosh, I think it was probably between 6 to 12 weeks worth of the training, and a very, very intense training. But it was great. It's both hands-on as well as book work in a classroom kind of stuff. After I got that, and then a couple of years later, Archie's Acres, which is the actual for-profit farm side of the institute, had an opening for a harvester. Now I basically just took that opportunity to go in and say, yeah, I'll do the job, take some of that training and put it to good use at the same place that I got trained at. And I pretty much got in at the right time with them, where they were just starting to build out a half-acre sized greenhouse. They had pretty much just had the framing part of the greenhouse set up. And so after I started, we started doing all the harvesting and packaging and everything for the basil that we were doing there. And then during downtimes, we go down to the greenhouse build out and help out with building the greenhouse, whether it's part of the roofing or the actual hydroponic trays that we would use on there. Just kind of putting the system together, building it out, getting that all up and ready to be able to start production on there. And it gave me a great insight on kind of going almost from the ground up, from building a large greenhouse all the way up through production. And it is a lot of challenges when doing hydroponics greenhouses. There's a lot of people out there that have never done it or never been a part of it, and it really has lots of challenges, especially when you're looking at a half-acre size greenhouse. There are so many times that half of our basil plants would just completely die off. And when you're looking at that size of it, you could be looking at thousands of dollars worth of end product that just completely dies. And now you have to clean out that entire system and then order new plant starts and start over. And now you're back into it for a few more $1,000, hoping that one actually survives long enough to be able to harvest and sell it to the different grocery stores and contracts that Archie's had. And there are definitely insects that invade a greenhouse. I know before I started any of that, I figured, hey, a greenhouse is completely self-sufficient. It is absent of all insects and dust and all that kind of stuff that we think is just a closed circuit system in there, and it is far from it. We had all kinds of insects that would invade in there and start destroying some of the crops in there. But it's a 100% organic farm. They are both global and global GAP and just GAP certified. So it's both GAP certifications, which means us as harvesters, we have to be pretty darn careful when we're harvesting the products that, if you were to harvest and go like this with, a glove on, you can't just start harvesting again. You have to take the gloves off, go wash your hands, do all that, get new gloves, and then go back into production again. It's that strict of certification for it. But that also means that we can't use any kind of pesticides or anything like that is not part of the organic system. We rarely ever use any certified organic pesticides anyways. We just didn't want to do it. Once in a while, if we started getting white flies or aphids or anything like that as just a massive overpopulation, then we would go in at night and basically use a fogger system to be able to do that. But the amount of time that I was working there for, over a year, I think we only did it about 3 times total. So we just didn't like doing it. But we did it because we knew that it would work. But we did it very minimal amount of times. And during the same time that I was working at Archie's, I was also working for a friend, which these pictures that you see on this slide are from the agritourism farm that if anybody knows Southern California by any chance, then we started out in, I think it's a Cherry Valley down by San Bernardino area. And it was not even a farm there. It was just tourism. We were basically teaching kind of Old West style kind of things to school kids, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, youth groups, different things like that. It was only until they moved to Julian, California, which is a mountain town in the San Diego mountain area, that it turned into an agritourism because they bought a piece of property that already had lilac flowers grandfathered in to the property. And that's when we turned it into an agritourism. And after the first year, we ended up creating the Lilac Festival down there, which was kind of cool. It was a way for us to be able to take the flowers that were growing there and being able to sell them to the public and have them come onto the farm, enjoy it. We set up some different stations, like really basic archery, and tomahawks and different kind of sessions like that allowed them just kind of an insight that most of them have never tried it, never ever done it before. And so I was kind of in there teaching them just absolute basics of archery, and being able to see the kids hit those targets and show them that hey, if the arrow is falling short or if they're missing the target, show them kind of the basics of how to aim it and get on target. And it was a lot of fun watching them get excited when their arrow actually hit the target and they got maybe a bullseye or get close to it. It was really cool being able to show them those different kinds of skills. And over the years, we really just upgraded and add different things. We did slingshot paintball to it. That's really fun. People love doing that. So that was pretty cool. But it gave me a different insight into a different type of farming, where it's flowers, but you're also adding agritourism. So being able to work on both of those farms gave me 2 very, very different perspectives of different kinds of farming. And it was great, a whole lot of fun on there. But now for the past about 4 years, I've been working with the Farmer Veteran Coalition. And for probably about 2 years or so of that, I've been the Homegrown by Heroes manager. And I'll talk about that program a little bit later in the slide. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, there we go. So Farmer Veteran Coalition is right around 12 to 13 years old from the very beginning of Michael O'Gorman basically going around in his pickup truck in Southern California. Officially as a nonprofit, we were under the umbrella of a different nonprofit in the beginning, probably about a year or so after Michael formed the organization. So we've been a nonprofit for right around 10 years or so, but it was since 2009 we've been recognized as a nonprofit. So we've been in the game for a little bit in the beginning, and we were the only ones that were a nonprofit geared specifically for military veterans and agriculture at the same time. And we still are kind of the leader in that. There are a lot of other nonprofits that do help veterans and get into agriculture, but a lot of them are more agriculture in general, whether you're a veteran or not a veteran. And FEC is pretty much the only ones that are dedicated specifically to veterans getting into agriculture. And that's kind of where, we all believe that, as veterans, we believe that we do have the skills. And as an organization, we know that, veterans do have the skills to be able to do agriculture very successfully. We've already been trained in so many other things that aren't agriculture, but fit perfectly within agriculture. We do what we have to do to get the mission done. And that's, a lot of that is farming, is you just keep going. You make what you do what you can with what you've got. The military, especially Marines, know this very, very well, that, in the military, we Marines just didn't get all the good stuff that, Army or the Air Force or somebody else like that would get. So we made do with what we've got. And so we learned from those kinds of skills and transferring that over into agriculture, where equipment is expensive, it's hard to come by. You make do with what you've got. The membership with us is completely free. So everything that we do as a nonprofit is 100% free. We do not charge anything. And currently we've got right around 31,600 or so veteran members in all 50 states, as well as Puerto Rico and US Virgin Islands. So we've got a couple of territories under our belt on that one, which is really cool and exciting. Some of the demographics that we've got, majority of them are male, but we definitely do have a good portion that are female, and they are absolutely amazing. And I still get shocked by seeing a lot of our female members that are farming out there, that I'm just like, wow, you guys are knocking it out of the park on there. And it's absolutely amazing seeing that. But we have a really wide, diverse group of veterans, for all walks of life, really. So we don't set anybody back. Let's see. So the Homegrown by Heroes label that we've got, it was originally started by the Kentucky Department of Agriculture. And it was started as just a state level program, just like a lot of state programs for their own agriculture department have. Michael O'Gorman, he saw this as an opportunity, and he ended up talking to them, and I kind of got some of the dates in there wrong, but not long after the Kentucky rolled it out, he ended up talking to them and working out kind of a deal with them to be able to take that program and put it into a national perspective like that for our members and future members. And we've been doing it ever since then. And last year, which is probably the most exciting year that we've had for this program, is that Kentucky finally signed over their trademark of that label and the name and the entire program over to us. And that has been absolutely wonderful. And so now we own it and we run it. And it's been amazing ever since then. As far as certified farmers, we've got right around 2,500, and we are indeed growing. Almost every day we are getting at least one application for a member wanting to be HBA certified. We've also been partnering ever since with different state programs to create a merge logo, as you know, as you see in the slide there, that quite a few of them have come on board. And last year, I kind of had to put it on hold for a little bit, just because we were getting in the works of actually taking over the trademark. So we didn't want to add anybody and then have them re-sign a few months later for a new agreement with them. But we've got 7 more states right now in the works for this program. And so it's really, really exciting. So if there are any veterans that are members with us, this is, you know, available to you as well. Let's see. That's pretty much our new logo. See if we can go to the previous slide. These are pretty much the old logos that we're also reworking into the new logo that we see here. And that one came out right around 2018. And we wanted to also show recognition of our female veteran farmer members in there, just to show them and say, hey, you know, we haven't forgotten you either. You know, we recognize you. You've been, you know, kicking butt out there as well. That's pretty much it for you know, that program. There's different types of ways, and I'll go through later on how to actually join in on that program. But as far as our member services go,
Hey,
we
Paul,
do have.
can I ask a quick question about that, about the HBH program?
Yeah.
What would a potential, like, if I were considering it, what would my incentives be to join? So I understand that there's like a marketing aspect where, you know, a customer will know because you have labeled that it's been through the certification process, that it is food grown by a veteran. But I'm wondering if there are other maybe like benefits that you've seen, other things that like you all like actually offer, or like other things that kind of happen when people participate, because you have a lot of people in that program now, a lot of farmers.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, a lot of them that really work and you know, work hard and use the logo on their products, on their website, social media. You know, all the different ways that you can use the logo once you're actually certified. They have seen an increase in sales for that.
Okay.
Just because it does show that recognition that, you know, they're a veteran, and it kind of helps them to set them, you know, their products and their farm apart from, you know, non-veteran farms that are out there. You know, for anyone that, you know, supports veterans and, you know, the agriculture industry and what they're doing for their farm, it helps them set apart. You know, we have lots of members that do farmers markets, and we do sell like a giant 18-inch metal sign that they can use at these farmers markets that they can hang from there. It helps to open up questions from the public, where, you know, we basically shop with our eyes, that we're very visual creatures, that when we see something different, our eyes automatically gravitate over to that and are curious about it. And so that sign helps that by bringing the public at farmers markets over to their booth, and, you know, kind of ask questions like, what's homegrown by here? What's that all about? You know, you know, they're not sure, maybe they're thinking it was like, maybe it's military, I don't know. So they open up questions, and it opens up the dialogue between farmer and consumer. And they really have seen increases in products like that. They're able to use that as talking points when, you know, on their fresh sheets, they're taken to restaurants or, you know, grocery stores to sell out that way.
Right.
You know, they say, yeah, I'm you know, homegrown by heroes, which is, you know, a military veteran in agriculture. So that's pretty much the main selling point on that one itself.
Okay, cool. That makes sense. Yeah, I would be curious, and, you know, if you don't have this number, that's fine, but I'd be curious, like, on average, if you have an idea of what like percentage sale increase, you've seen from people who who go through the process and start using the Homegrown by Heroes label on their products.
Right. Yeah. And to be honest, we don't have those numbers. It is something that we've been thinking about and have been working on talking with our members to try and get those different kinds of numbers to see how much of a percentage increase it is. As it stands right now, from what we've seen, we want to very, very, very roughly estimate that it's probably around a 25% increase. It could be more, could be a little bit less, but we haven't fully ran the numbers on it yet. Just because COVID, for like 2 years has shut down a lot of people. But during that time, while a lot of farms have folded or have almost folded, a lot of our members' farms, especially those that are HBH certified, have actually seen an increase in sales. Just because, a lot of people starting to recognize that logo as a veteran farmer. And, they're a small farmer and their sales have increased. We've had members that have completely sold out of product, before they can even start to harvest anymore. So it's always was wonderful hearing that during a pandemic when so many businesses have been shutting down for good and permanent. Some of those businesses have been around for 50 years. All of a sudden they're totally shut down and may never come back again. So it's always good to see that, but that's an extremely rough estimate that we kind of figure out now.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah. So some of the other things that we do is that we kind of help with business planning. We have a lot of different kind of financial resources. We have a lot of connections with other nonprofits, as well as government agencies that we refer other members to, kind of help them out as best as we can with what we have. We've got a couple of new staff members that have just joined us in the past month or so that are going to help us out even more with a lot of these, especially with veteran benefits and navigating that side of it, which I'll talk about in a little bit as well. That he's a new one. He's out in Northeast Montana, literally the middle of nowhere is where his farm is at. But he's running cattle and orchards out there, doing a great job, and he is certified for VA benefits knowledge and being able to talk to our veterans about those. So it's great to have him on board. Mentorship. We have so many with over 31,000 veteran members. We have lots of folks that are there that can be mentors, that we can kind of put you in contact with, our different members if there is anybody close to your area for what you're kind of looking for. And we do have training and apprenticeship opportunities, and these are paid through grants that we do get. So pretty much all of these services and everything we do, since we offer it to our veterans for free, it's all paid for through grants and donations. That's why we want to keep everything free. We don't want to charge a membership to our veterans that are farmers. We want to just offer it to them as free as possible. So we really hit the road running with trying to get grants and donations to be able to offer these services to our veteran members. And some of our really good discounts that we've got through companies, like Kubota and Farm Tech. We got some beekeepers. We've got the dance. We just got a new one with Man Lake that we should be getting their discount code and everything set up probably by the end of this month, we're hoping. But they all offer different percentages of discounts. If anybody's looking to become organic certified and they're a veteran, and they are a member with us, we've got understandings and contracts with the CCUF and Oregon Tilth that those two are really good, that the application fee that they charge 100% waived. They, you just have to sign up as a veteran member with us and ask us for that. We will then generate the letter to be able to send to you. You give to either one of those organic certifiers and they go, okay, you're all set. Let's get the talks going and get you certified organic. So it's really, really cool that, a lot of these companies, offering discounts. And I'm always going out and talking with other companies and trying to get, more companies on board for offering discounts, for our members. Kubota is a really, really good one. Theirs is more of a dollar amount based on the tractor model. So that was a little bit more difficult, but it's nice because it does offer a dollar amount instead of a percentage amount. And that's, we go to these companies and say, we want this. What can you guys offer us? And then they come back and it's a whole negotiating. It's like, well, this is what we can offer you. And we see it and we're like, okay, I think that sounds good. And we bring them on. So we've got a lot going on with that. A little bit more on the eligibility requirements for HBH, because we do get lots of questions about that from potential members. That you do have to be a Farmer Veteran Coalition member first. And that goes through kind of a verification process through ID.me to really show that, yes, you are a veteran when you sign up, and it's said and done at that point since it's free. And then the certification part of it is that HBH does have a different application process. And with that, you do have to submit a DD 214, or if you're currently serving, a letter from your command stating that, yes, you're okay to be running a business while employed by the military. And that's really what we look for is that you've got an honorable or a general discharge from it. The farm does have to be at least 50% veteran owned. Most of our members are couples farms. So, wife might be a veteran and the husband is not. That's, or vice versa. That's your 50% right there. Doesn't have to be 51, 49 or anything like that. If one is a veteran, one is not, the veteran just has to apply for it. It has to be a veteran, member with us, and we're all good with that. We do allow value-added products. With that one, pretty much anything that is non-water based, at least 50% of those ingredients have to be produced by the farmer themselves, or they have to be bought from another HBH certified farmer to be able to get certified with this. Pretty much all of our certified farms do their own ingredients in there. And we do get questions on, is alcohol allowed? Yes, we do have quite a bit of members that run alcohol businesses, and they grow their own products. Got one out in Pennsylvania that has a variety of different alcohols. The only one that's not certified under them is the rum, because that comes from molasses from the sugarcane making process, and so we can't certify that one. But there are different types of like whiskeys and different alcohols that they do grow their own grain to be able to process and make into their alcohol. So we do allow that. We do have some members that are beekeepers and do make their own meat. And so we do allow different kinds of value added types of products like that as well. And the certification, it's good for 3 years, and then you just renew again every 3 years. So it's not too difficult, but it can be a little confusing. So anybody that's interested, definitely reach out to us. And that way we can kind of walk you through the process and kind of, answer any kind of questions, about that one. And then our fellowship fund is our own exclusive grant program that we do. And this comes, the money for this grant comes from a variety of donations, large donations like Kubota. They donate a ton of money, as well as the Gear to Give program on there for even weight tractors. The Wounded Warrior Project has donated large chunks of money for this grant specifically. The Tractor Supply Company, they donate a certain number of $1,000 gift cards for this program. So we get a lot of different companies that donate money. We also have ones that donate their actual products, like Homestead Implements. They offer a certain number of implements from their own stock to farmers. And those are, several thousands of dollars worth of, a single product by itself. So it's a really, really amazing program. That one has just ended on Monday. It does open up every year, the beginning of January each year, and it runs for about a month and a half. And each year, we never know how many we're able to award, but it all depends on how much donation money that we get, depends on how many applications we can actually award for that year. For instance, this year, we were able to raise almost $500,000 to be able to award to our veteran members, which is absolutely amazing. That number, it tends to just keep climbing every year, little by little. So we're estimating, we're going to be able to award a couple of hundred veterans, anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000 worth of, equipment and supplies that they've put on that application. And it's actually a very, very rewarding kind of program to be able to see that, a nonprofit that relies on donations and private grants and federal grants, that we don't charge a single dime for anything, no membership fees, nothing. And then we turn around every single year and say, hey, guess what? Here's here's an opportunity for us to give you some money. Well, not necessarily money. We don't actually give out checks. We actually buy the equipment and the supplies for those that do get awarded. So they don't even have to worry about that. We just call up those companies, order it, and have it shipped over to the member. And it's our way of saying, thank you for being a member. Thank you for being a veteran. Thank you for serving, and thank you for being a farmer and serving your community, and just trying to make the agriculture and food industry a little bit better by every single member. And so we just we give back more than what we get from our members. And it's absolutely a really wonderful thing to be able to see that, and to see the recorded reactions from our members that get awarded these grants is absolutely amazing. The stories that they tell of how much it's going to help them for their farm. Maybe they like this year, for instance, maybe something happened to their farm that could, this money for the equipment supplies could make it or break it for this year. And to hear them say, what happened to their farm last year, and by being able to get awarded this equipment, is going to help them save their farm this year to be able to farm one more year, or maybe even a few more years. It's absolutely wonderful. And then a little bit on the Geared to Give part of the fellowship fund. This is the one that is from Kubota that gives away their tractors. We do not do anything as far as picking the winners of the tractors. That is 100% up to Kubota. In fact, we don't even pick any of the fellowship fund winners. We have outside groups of people that look at all the applications, and they get reviewed about 3 to 4 times by different people. So we have about each one is going to get reviewed by a different person about 3 to 4 times, and then they have their own recommendations, their own notes on it, and then it comes back to us to see what that actually looks like. For the Geared to Give part of it, that is all Kubota. We simply hand them a list of the applications that have noted that they don't own a tractor and that they would like to be included in on the opportunity to get awarded a tractor. And Kubota has been doing it since 2015. So this year you're looking at 7 years, I think. And since then, it's been 31 tractors. And the average cost for the the base price of these L series tractors that they've been giving away is $25,000 to $30,000. So you add up all of that, and that's a lot of money that Kubota is giving out to our members. And one of the quotes that Julie hollers when she got her tractor is something that still rings very true and absolutely amazing kind of a quote, is that most girls want nice jewelry. All I wanted was a Kubota tractor. She didn't want any fancy jewelry or anything. She just wants a nice new tractor. And it's just been a really cool quote from her. In 2020, Kubota and the Farmer Veteran Coalition did team up with Brantley Gilbert for his Fire and Brimstone concert tour before COVID shut it all down. But they still did the Geared to Give with him on his, I believe it was his George Ranch. It could have been the Kubota out in Texas. But that's where they did the 5 awardees out of that. And if anybody wants to watch that full length video, it is on YouTube. And the link is in the slide there. It's a really cool video to be able to watch it. We don't get very many celebrities out there in the world that actually want to, support Farmer Veteran Coalition. And it's absolutely wonderful when we get something like this to happen. It's really, really cool. And then we've got kind of our state chapters, and we also
Hey,
have.
Paul, can I ask a question about the fellowship real quick?
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, it sounds like you can only use that fellowship money to buy farm equipment, and because you are getting it directly from the supplier, I guess. As in, like, they're not getting, like you said, they're not getting a check that they're then obligated to, spend at Kubota or John Deere or whatever.
Right. So the fellowship fund itself is that on the application, the member will write down in there the equipment and supplies that they would like that equals up to $5,000.
Okay.
And there are a few other things in that. Rachel's the one that actually runs that program.
Right.
So, and she's been doing it for 6 or 7 years now. And she knows the very detailed inner workings of all of it in there. but you do put down the equipment and the supplies that you would like. So if you want um, a tractor, tiller implement, as well as, $2,000 worth of seeds from, let's say, Johnny Seeds, or maybe you want to get from Baker Creek, or, some other seed company out there, you could put them both in there. There's no, it has to only be equipment or only supplies. It can be both.
Okay.
And if that person does get awarded, then we do not send a check to the member to just buy it. We have in the very beginning ran into problems with that. And so we changed that program. And so now, since then, we now buy the equipment and supplies that were listed on the application. If they end up needing to change it, all those details get worked out with Rachel.
Okay.
And that way everything gets shipped to the member for what they actually want. It's kind of like a late Christmas list where they get to put on this stuff on there, and then magically there's all these shipping boxes that start appearing, at their farm, and it's a late Christmas present kind of thing. It really is cool, but it allows our members to be able to say specifically what they want. And instead of just saying, us just giving you a check and say, hey, I hope you buy what you put on your application, but here's the money anyways. Have fun. We want to make sure that, those members are getting the equipment and the supplies that they actually need to be able to grow their farm. Replace old and aging equipment that's breaking down. And it helps them a lot. That way they don't really have to deal with it. And dealing with the shipping and the buying and all that, we pretty much handle really all of that part of it.
Got it. So I'm wondering, 3 things are popping to mind. 1, can you use it to buy used equipment? 2, it doesn't sound like then you could use it to pay for someone's labor. And 3, it doesn't sound like you could use it to like help with like a mortgage or a rent payment or something like that.
Right. Used equipment, you can. We have done it. I don't know how often it has been done, but I do know it has been done. Used equipment, it's a little bit more difficult because the person that's selling the equipment is trying to sell it as fast as they can, so they don't have to have it anymore. And we then have to work with that seller to be able to send them a check and making sure that our member actually gets the piece of equipment. So it's more difficult, but yes, we have done it and we still can do it. As far as labor costs, mortgage, any single piece of equipment more than $5,000, no. We have done ones over $5,000 before. It's insanely rare. I think we've only done it 2 times since 2015 or so, 2014. But it's extremely rare to be able to that will actually agree to do that. And in order to do that, the member does have to prove that they can basically pay for the remainder of it. For instance, let's say it's a new tractor and the tractor is, a subcompact tractor that's, $20,000. If we award them the $5,000 towards that, they have to provide proof that they actually can afford the remaining, $15,000 out of that. But again, it's very, very rare, and I would not recommend trying for doing something like that. Labor and mortgage costs, since it's not a check that we send them, none of that gets applied for that. There are other small grants that are out there that I do put together kind of a list of different nonprofits that are out there that do different kinds of grants. And maybe some of them do actually allow those kinds of expenses and stuff on their grants. But we do have a list of that if there are other veterans that interested. That we have a running list of that.
Cool. And then another question just came in. Is this program strictly for growing food like crops, or can it be used for raising beef cattle? I guess the question is like, does your type of farming matter? Yeah.
No, the type of farming does not matter. We have a very large variety of farmers. We have a lot of them are pro-organic, pro-regenerative, and we also have quite a few of conventional farmers. We don't discriminate between any farmer. If you're a veteran and you're interested in farming or already farming, come and be part of the FEC family, whether you're organic or not organic, livestock or crops. It's up to you on what you want to grow and what you want to raise. We have quite a bit of farmers that raise hemp for the CBD side of things. And since it is federally legal, we do allow that as well as being HB certified. And that's only because it is federally legal. But we have cotton farmers, we have, grain farmers, corn farmers that have hundreds of acres. And then we've got the small mom and pop style farmers that have just a couple of acres of their backyard that are growing in pots. We have ones that are growing microgreens in a spare bedroom of a house in suburbia America. So we don't discriminate. It for the fellowship fund, it goes for anything, any of that.
That sounds good. Okay, cool. There is another question here. Wondering if you could say maybe a little more about the requirements to join. I think this is referring to joining the Farmer Veteran Coalition in general, but maybe you'll get to that at the end of the presentation.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's really basic for requirements of becoming a FEC member.
Yeah.
One, you have to be a veteran or currently serving. We do either one of them. Any service era, it doesn't matter. We have members that are in their late 70s, that were from the Korean War, Vietnam War. It doesn't matter which service area you are in, we still welcome you. Any branch, anything, as long as you are a veteran and that you can basically verify that you're a veteran. Our verification process, we use ID.me for that in the application process. Now, that's the very beginning of the application. But there are some limitations of that service that if you served and got out prior to 1985, the ID.me verification will not work. For some reason, they can only pull records after 1985. So any veteran that served and got out of the service prior to that, on the process of it, instead of clicking on a veteran, you would click on not a veteran, and then it would just take you directly to the application. But you have to notify us and let us know, because that application is not automatically processed. We manually have to do each one of those. And then we ask for some form of proof that you are a veteran, either a redacted DD-214, a VA ID card that, a pen or a finger is covering up the barcode, something that covers up the identifying information off of that. And then we just look to see that your name matches with the application, and it shows that, everything looks good as far as being a veteran. And we're like, okay, welcome to the family. We're good. The application is a little long just because we do ask a lot of questions. We want to get to know, our new members. We want to see, where they from, their farming goals, if they haven't farmed, or what they are currently doing as farmers. We like knowing this. It helps us get to know our members just a little bit better. And that's really is pretty much it. If anybody does have problems with that sign up process, we do have a sign up guide that we can email them. If there are any kind of issues, they can call us. They can also email us and say, hey, I'm having some issues, something's not working right, and we'll call them up, email them back, and try to help them out to be able to fix those.
Awesome, thank you. Really helpful to hear that. Hopefully that answers the question that the person is asking. And just wondering if if there's like an easy link to the website where people can join, or if that's something we can maybe share, or like a link straight to the application form or something, just to make it easier.
Yeah, I can in the chat after this, I will share my contact info, and our support info, to be able to contact just general support, as well as might take me a couple of minutes to get the direct link to the application, but I'll put that in the chat as well. Yeah, and if anybody does miss that information, they can always email us, and we can help them out from there.
Perfect. Okay, cool.
All right. Yeah, no problem. And so we do have a variety of state chapters out there, and we are always trying to farm more state chapters. The main goal of these state chapters is to help our members within that state for state level resources, finding mentors within their state. Not every state can become a state chapter. It does take a long time to actually form a state chapter. It's a long legal process, and it does take a long time. There are chapters that have been trying to become, states that have been trying to become a chapter for many years. And Doris is our main chapter coordinator. It's a lot. You have to basically find other folks out there that want to be part of a chapter board. Somebody has to step up to the plate and become a president, and other board members on there. We've got to be able to see that, members within that state and the folks that are trying to start the state chapter are truly serious about it, because it does take a lot of time to create the documents and start having meetings with everybody that's on the forming committee for it. So it can easily take a year to actually form a state chapter. But we do have a lot of state chapters out there. And in a state that doesn't have a state chapter formed, there's always us, at the national level, that we can still contact other members, for mentors or any other kind of resources to be able to help them out. We do have a national stakeholder conference. This is our own conference that we do every single year. Last year, we tried to do it in 2 different regional conferences, basically West and East Coast one. With the whole COVID still going on, it was kind of iffy there for a while. It ended up being that we could only do the eastern ones. We had that in Knoxville, Tennessee, and it was a much smaller one, but it's still a great turnout. Normally, we only do one stakeholder conference. This year's is going to be in Oklahoma, and that is always done right around mid-November every single year. And it changes cities every single year. So we're just in the starting process of staff starting to create all the processes with it, finding speakers, subjects, and all that. Everything that goes along with starting forming a conference each year. It takes us about a year to actually get the whole thing said and done. But we do it every year, and past conferences are shown on our website, so they can always look at different photos, different types of sessions that were on there, if they want to, of a lot of our different past conferences. And so I'm gonna kind of go into our one of our new grants that we've got, and this is kind of a training and education type of grant. This is what we do to train veterans that want to get into agriculture. Most of them don't have really any farming experience, and so we pay for the programs with the 4 different training centers across the country that we have partnered with. Last year's we had it. We're usually having the grants are usually good for about 3 years. As you can see, we had 45 veterans in the program across the country that we paid for the tuition and different types of stipends within that. A good portion of them were for the Center for Land-Based Learning out in Northern California. That one is an accredited, recognized apprenticeship program. And in the world of agriculture and farming, it's extremely rare to actually find one that's legitimate and recognized by the government, to say that it is accredited. Usually that goes for different kinds of training programs for electricians, plumbers, those other different types of trade industries out there. This one is for actual agriculture. So that's what made it a really unique program, to be able to go through that. We also partnered with the Rodale Institute, probably the last 2 years of that program. And we put a lot of different veterans through their program, as well as Archie's Acres, or the Archie's Institute. We've got several members that went through that program. But in total, we ended up paying out about $120,000 in tuition out of that grant, and about another $90,000 in stipends to be able to train those 45 veterans during the course of those 3 years. So it was a very successful program during that time. And this is a little bit of information, even though the current AgVets grant that we have right now, that I'm aware of, does not go towards the Center for Land-Based Learning, which is this particular apprenticeship program. But this is the information for any veterans that are in Northern California, more the Sacramento region, that may want to actually go through accredited apprenticeship program. It teaches you a lot of information, and it is absolutely a wonderful program if they want a real world, long-term farming experience, they do get paid for it. And I don't know what the going wage for the apprenticeship is right now, but they do get paid for it because it is not just training, but it is an actual job. They are put on actual farms, and those farms do train the folks that are on there going through the apprenticeship program. So it's a lot. It is roughly about a 2-year program for the apprenticeship program for it. Let's see. So 2 of the ones of the current AgVets grants that we do have going on is the Archie's Institute and the Dairy Grazing Apprenticeship Program. So if you are interested in learning about hydroponic farming, Archie's Institute is a great one for that. They are based in Southern California, out there near Temecula area. And so they do have in-person classes. They have the hybrid classes where you have to do nights and weekends if that's all you have. And for those that aren't in Southern California or can't move to Southern California to be able to do this program, they do have a virtual program for that. So they do have quite a bit of different ways that a veteran can get trained through that. And it is more than just teaching hydroponics. They do go through different business developments, introductions to different kind of loan programs out there, financing, greenhouse designs. But it is geared specifically as hydroponic agriculture. The Dairy Grazing Apprenticeship is a really cool program. It is another kind of another apprenticeship program, and they are based in Wisconsin, but they have 17 states that they have farms that do raise dairy cattle in there, and it is the same type of thing as Center for Land-Based Learning, but for dairy cattle. And you go and you work on the farm, and you get paid for it, and they teach you all the ins and outs of raising cattle for dairy. It is a 2-year program, but it is a great program if you're looking specifically for dairy cattle. And then the other 2 that we have in for this grant is the Rodale Institute. They are out in Pennsylvania, near the I believe it's between like Gettysburg and Hershey, Pennsylvania, out there. It's right in that area. I did get a chance to go visit them a couple of years ago. It's a really cool farm, and a great program. They do have a variety of different types of training programs on there. But for the veteran side of it, for this grant that we pay for their tuition, it is a few months long, but it is definitely worth it. If anybody knows about the Rodale Institute, this is kind of the cream of the crop of the organic farming out there training. They've been around for, gosh, I think over 50 years or so, as far as a company and an organization. Absolutely amazing out there. And then the 4th one we've got is the Battleground Breaking Ground. They are in Texas. So if you want to move to Texas, or just move temporarily to Texas for the training program, or already living in Texas, this is a really good one. It is through the A&M and the AgriAbility organization. It's definitely worth it. You do get lots of hands-on training, as well as different business planning, and all the little things that you need for the the more desk job style part of the farming side. So they do have a lot of great stuff going on with that one. And anybody that is interested in any of these training programs, Lawrence is the new one new employee that we just hired about a month and a half ago. He is the one that is running this grant program. So anybody interested in that would want to contact him. He is also certified for being able to navigate the VA benefits out there for our veterans. So he can be able to find loopholes and find out if our veterans are not taking advantage of a lot of the VA programs and benefits out there. He's going to try and do his job of convince you to say, you really need to take advantage of this thing that the VA is doing or that thing the VA is doing. He knows all of that kind of stuff. And if you're looking to buy farm property and it doesn't have a house on it, but you still want to try to use the VA home loan type of thing, definitely talk to Lawrence. He knows about that stuff. So he's a great resource, but he's the one to contact for the training programs. And on our website, we have lots of stories that we try to do. We try to do them every month on our members. It just really highlights our members and their successes. Some of the trials and tribulations, that they've gone through. Really get the down home story of who they are, where they came from, what they did in the military, why they chose farming, and why they chose to do that type of farming. Again, it helps to show the variety of farmers that we have. We've got maple farmers, we've got pepper farmers, Pepper Rick, that guy's great. His stuff is amazing. And Dennis Priska, who does peppers as well. I believe his is as doorstep peppers. I've been able to try some of his spices that he creates, his value added products for his pepper spices. They're amazing spices. We've got mushroom farmers, microgreens farmers, dairy farmers, beekeepers. We've got just about every different type of farmer that's out there as far as them. So if anybody wants to read about them, they're on our website and it's in our stories section in there. There's quite a bit of them. And that is pretty much it. A little bit more long-winded than I normally give on presentations, but I wanted to make sure that I got out there as much information as I possibly could, to anybody that is interested in it. But they can definitely email us at our Stakeholder email and our main line as well. And that is our website that they can go to and explore it, look around and go and let us know. And so that's pretty much it for me.
Well, yeah, we're actually over time a little bit.
Oh wow, that is the first time I have ever done that, to be over time. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. There's just so much good information. It blows me away every time to learn that it's free to join, and one of the perks of joining is that you get access to potentially free money in different forms, whether through the Homegrown by Heroes label, which can which boosts your sales, or directly through the fellowship fund. All these incredible opportunities. It's so great to see how you all have grown over the years. Really, really cool. If you're here, we do a quick poll generally at the end of these workshops. So Jonathan is going to launch a really quick poll just to get your feedback on the workshop. And